My husband took his mistress to a secret dinner, so I brought her family and the truth. Please stay with me as I tell my story. And please support this channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing. Your support means everything. Now to my story. I wasn't supposed to find the reservation confirmation in his jacket pocket, but fate had other plans. It was tucked inside, folded neatly like it belonged there. The paper smelled faintly of his cologne, and the restaurant name jumped out at me like a warning sign. Chez Laurent, an upscale French bistro in downtown Chicago. Not exactly a spot you go to alone after work. Then I saw it. Table for two. Name Isabella. Not a client, not a coworker I'd heard of. Just Isabella. No last name, no explanation. I stood there in the hallway, holding the paper in one hand, my phone in the other, and my heart pounding in my chest like it wanted to run away. He had told me he'd be working late that night on a project that needed finishing before morning. But the reservation, it was for 8 p.m. That wasn't a work meeting. That was a dinner, a secret dinner. I sat on the bed trying to breathe, thinking. Through the past few months, the late nights, the extra showers when he got home, the way he'd started putting his phone face down. I took a picture of the reservation and carefully tucked it back into his jacket like I'd never touched it. I wasn't going to confront him yet. I needed more. That evening, I called my college friend Sarah, who works in cybersecurity in Phoenix. She'd helped friends before in situations like this. The next morning, I called the restaurant and booked a table for one just a few seats away from theirs. The hostess didn't ask many questions, just said, "Send me the name and the restaurant. I'll handle it." I thanked her and hung up, staring at my reflection in the mirror. I wasn't sad, not really. I wasn't angry either. I felt clear, sharp, like everything was starting to make sense. All the lies, all the excuses, they weren't shadows anymore. They had a name, Isabella. That night, I chose my outfit with care. Not to impress him, but to remind myself who I was. Sarah sent me a name, Isabella Chen. Her Instagram told me everything. She had a public profile, all carefully posed and filtered, bright smiles, perfect angles, and captions full of vague emotions. But what caught my eye were the tagged photos. Someone had tagged her at the same restaurant 2 weeks earlier. I started saving everything. Screenshots, timestamps, captions. One photo was taken outside the Palmer House Hotel downtown. Same day he said he was out of town for a conference. Another had a blurry arm in the corner. Same watch I gave him. On our anniversary, her posts weren't obvious. That was the genius in it. She posted wine glasses clinking, desserts with 2 spoons, sunset reflections in hotel windows. It's always hinting, never naming. It's a digital trail of soft, smug clues. Just enough for those who were supposed to know. I dug deeper. My phone's shared GPS history still tracked his old locations. I matched them with hers. It's different phones, same coordinates, same time. The pattern was undeniable. Every piece felt like a puzzle fitting together. What hurt the most wasn't the affair, was how he had made me doubt myself. Every time I questioned something, he turned it around. Told me I was imagining things. Was jealous for no reason. Insecure. "You're being dramatic, Lauren," he would say, shaking his head like I was some unstable woman. I found her last name through a company website. It wasn't hard. Her face was on the About Us page, listed under marketing. I used the name to search public records and found a matching address tied to her mother. Her younger brother had tagged her in a graduation post 2 months ago. I didn't want to go in as myself, not yet. I created a new email and reached out with a simple message. "I'm part of a private women's support group. I believe your daughter may be involved in a situation with a married man. I thought you'd want to know." Her mother replied within an hour. She gave me her number and asked if we could talk. We spoke that evening, kept my voice calm, steady, told her I had reason to believe her daughter was in an affair that had hurt someone deeply. We met in a quiet cafe in Chinatown. Her son David came to. I brought a small folder, printed screenshots, dates, and pictures. When I told them who I really was, neither said a word at first. Then David looked down and said, "It's not the first time." He told me Isabella had done this before. A different man, same story. Secret meetings, quiet posts, hidden texts. That time, it nearly ended in a fight between families. They had warned her to stop. She didn't listen. Her mother looked tired, embarrassed, she said. I didn't know she was doing this again. I asked them one thing, just one, to come with me to the dinner. Not to fight, not to yell, just to show up and watch. They agreed. The reservation was for Saturday night at 8. I arrived 15 minutes early. I had chosen my dress with care. Black, sleek, simple but strong. Not flashy, not loud, just enough to make a statement. I wanted to look like Control.com. Measured control. The host greeted me with a smile. I gave my name and he led me to my seat directly across the room from their table. Not too close, just close enough to see everything. I thanked him and ordered a glass of wine. The place was full. Couples leaned in close over candles. At 8:06, he walked in. She followed, wearing red. They looked relaxed, comfortable. He held her chair as she sat. She laughed at something, he whispered. Watching them felt surreal, like seeing strangers play roles written behind your back. Didn't flinch. I sipped my wine and waited. My heart wasn't racing. Not anymore. I had already done the crying. Already processed the betrayal. Tonight wasn't about emotion. It was about the moment. The moment he realized everything had finally caught up to him. At exactly 8:27, the waiter stepped up to their table, holding a calm smile. "A few guests have joined your party," he said. Clearly, Isabella looked up, confused. Marcus raised his brows but said nothing. Then they appeared. Her mother, her father, David. 3 quiet figures dressed well, walking toward the table with steady steps. Isabella froze. She blinked, then looked again as if her eyes had failed her. Her hands shook as she reached for her wineglass. One sip too fast and she coughed, choking. Slightly, trying to hide the panic rising in her throat. I stood. No rush, no hesitation. I walked across the floor, each step measured, my heels quiet but certain. People turned to look, sensing something real was happening. Something that didn't fit the polite quiet of a Saturday night dinner. I stopped at the edge of their table. He looked up at me like he'd seen a ghost. His mouth opened, but no sound. Came out. I didn't look at her. Not yet. I only looked at him, held his eyes, and in that moment, he knew. Her mother leaned forward to read. Her face didn't move. Her father looked away. Marcus opened his mouth, but before he could speak, Isabella's mom slapped her napkin down hard. "Exit," she said firmly without even looking at him. "You've done enough." I kept going. I spoke clearly, steadily. I listed dates, messages, bookings, charges, all the small things that added up to truth. Then I said the one thing that mattered most. "You told me I was imagining things. You told me I was jealous. You lied to me while making me doubt myself." He didn't speak. Couldn't. Isabella looked like she wanted to disappear. David didn't offer her any comfort. Her father shook his head. I handed the final page to her mother. It was a note, not proof, not evidence, just a message. One woman to another. He didn't speak. He couldn't. Isabella looked like she wanted to disappear. David didn't offer her any comfort. Her father shook his head. I handed the final page to her mother. It was a note, not proof, not evidence, just a message. One woman to another. He didn't come home that night. When I got back, I packed his things into boxes and left them by the front door. I changed the locks the next morning. He tried calling twice, but I didn't answer. Sent one message. "Contact my lawyer." Within hours, word spread. Friends started reaching out. Some had guessed something was wrong. Others admitted they'd seen signs, but didn't want to get involved. My phone buzzed nonstop with messages of support. from people I hadn't heard from in years. 2 days later, I got a message from a woman who worked at Isabella's company. She told me the story had reached their office. Turns out one of their biggest clients was Marcus's firm. That meant her job had crossed into their personal mess. Things moved fast. The client pulled their account. Isabella's name was removed from the website a week later. I didn't celebrate. I didn't need to. I hired a lawyer, a good one. We didn't rush. Every document was reviewed, every detail checked. While gathering paperwork, I found things I hadn't noticed before. Hidden payments, bank statements I hadn't seen. He had opened an account under a different name. Small deposits, hotel charges, gifts. It was all there, just out of sight. 2 weeks after the dinner, I got a message from an unknown number. "Lauren, I didn't know he was married. I'm sorry, it was her." I didn't reply. She had seen the ring, had sent him messages late at night, had posted pictures from places we used to go. People around her started to pull away. Some unfollowed her online. Others stopped inviting her out. A friend of hers shared a post that made its way to me. Something about betraying other women for attention. They didn't mention her name, but it wasn't hard to guess. Her job didn't just lose the client. Her manager put her on leave. Someone told me her team was moved to another department. Quiet punishment. I never asked for any of it. I didn't need to. The truth moved on its own. A few days later, she sent another message. "Please just tell me what you want me to do. I didn't mean for this to happen." Still, I said nothing. It wasn't my job to guide her through shame. That was hers to carry, hers to fix. I didn't go quiet after everything. I didn't hide. Instead, I began writing. At first, it was just for me. Small notes, thoughts, things I had kept inside for too long. Then I created a blog. I didn't use names. I didn't need to. People started reading, first a few, then hundreds. They left comments, sent messages. Some shared their own stories, similar pain, same patterns. Women who had been called crazy for asking questions. Women who had been blamed for what others did to them. It grew faster than I expected. Soon, I was getting invited to speak on podcasts. One host called it emotional truth-telling. I spoke about gaslighting, about how damaging it is when someone twists your reality to protect their lies. One post got shared over 50,000 times. It was titled, "You don't get to destroy someone and walk away clean." That line stuck with people because too often people cheat, lie, hurt, and expect to be forgiven quietly. It had been almost 6 months when the letter came. No name on the envelope, just a return address I didn't recognize. Inside was a simple note, handwritten. It was from Isabella's father. He thanked me, not for what I went through, but for what I revealed. Marcus's story didn't stay hidden. The company found out. Someone sent in the screenshots, not me. I never had to. He was let go. Something about conduct, a contract clause. His image was damaged and clients didn't want to be tied to the drama. Meanwhile, my story kept spreading. I met someone new, quietly. It wasn't fast, it wasn't dramatic. We met through mutual friends. He listened when I talked. He never made me feel small. I didn't expect love, but I welcomed peace. I still wrote. Still spoke, still answered messages from strangers who just needed to hear. You're not crazy, you're not alone. What started as a betrayal became something bigger than me. And no matter how anyone tells the story, one thing is certain. I didn't break, I became something stronger.